At the company party, her badge slid across the marble floor, and before she could bend down, his boss already had it in his hand. He laughed first. Not cruel, not loud. The kind of laugh that assumes power will protect it. He read the badge out loud with a smile that expected approval. Then his face changed. Not fast, slowly, as if every word weighed more than the last. She stood there in a simple dark dress, shoulders straight, eyes calm. She did not rush. She did not speak. Her silence felt heavier than the music, heavier than the glass chandeliers above them. The room kept breathing, unaware it had just crossed a line. She was the wife they barely noticed, the quiet one who stayed close to the walls, the one who smiled politely and said little. Tonight, she had worn her hair tied back, the way it always fell when she needed to remember who she was. There was a thin scar near her collarbone, hidden by the fabric, but it burned as if it had never healed. Her husband stood frozen. His smile was tight, unsure. He worked here. He needed this job. He had warned her before they came. Just stay close. Just smile. It is only a party. The boss cleared his throat and made a joke about how strange it was to carry a badge to a party. People chuckled. A few looked away. No one stepped in. She felt the weight of every second stretch. She had learned long ago that silence could be armor. Her name was Mara, before she was a wife. Before she learned how to blend into rooms like this, she was something else entirely. Years ago, the air had smelled of dust and metal. Heat pressed against her skin as she crouched behind broken stone. Her hands had been steady even when her heart raced. She remembered the weight of the vest, the way it pulled on her shoulders, the way sweat gathered at her spine. She remembered the sound of her own breath inside the helmet, loud and calm at the same time. She had been trained to watch first, to wait, to protect without being seen. There were faces she still carried with her. Friends who laughed too loud in quiet moments. A voice that used to hum off-key while cleaning gear. A hand that squeezed hers once before letting go forever. She carried them all in the small, careful way she folded herself into civilian life. When she came home for the last time, the world felt too bright, too soft. She learned to flinch at sudden sounds. She learned to sleep lightly. She learned to smile when people asked simple questions she could not answer. Her badge had never been decoration. It was habit. It was memory. It was proof that she existed before this room. The party buzzed around her now. Laughter clinked with glasses. Perfume and polished wood filled the air. The boss rolled the badge between his fingers, still smiling. Still unaware of the shift he had caused, he said something about security clearance. About titles, about how people like to feel important. She watched his hands. She noticed how they trembled just a little. Her husband finally moved. He reached out, trying to take the badge back, his voice low and apologetic. The boss waved him off with a grin meant to soften the moment. Mara felt the old calm settle in her chest. The kind that arrived before something hard around them. People sensed it. Conversations slowed. Eyes lingered. A woman near the bar stopped mid-sip. A man near the window frowned, trying to read the badge from where he stood. The boss read the final line again. His smile thinned. Mara had once stood in rooms where the air itself felt dangerous, where respect was not asked for but earned through action. She had learned that dignity did not need volume. She spoke then. Her voice was steady, clear, and quiet enough that people leaned in without realizing they were doing it. She said the badge was not for parties, but sometimes habits follow you home. The boss chuckled again, but it landed wrong. He handed the badge back as if it were suddenly heavier than before. He made another joke, this time about rules, about how everyone needed to relax. No one laughed. A man at the far end of the room straightened, his eyes fixed on Mara with a recognition that cut through the noise. He was older, his posture rigid, his suit hiding something familiar. He raised his glass slightly, a small gesture, then lowered it again. Mara noticed. She always noticed. The boss shifted, uneasy now. He asked what she used to do, his tone casual, but sharp at the edges. She paused. She thought of sand and smoke. She thought of nights where the stars felt close enough to touch. She thought of promises made in silence. She said she served. The word fell into the room. and did not break. Some people nodded politely. Others looked confused. The boss smiled again, relieved, ready to move on. But the older man near the window stepped forward. He did not speak loudly. He did not need to. He said her unit name slowly with care, the way one speaks a prayer. He said it as someone who knew what it cost to say it at all. The room stilled. Mara met his eyes. For the first time that night, she smiled. It was small. It was real. The boss blinked. He looked from one face to another, sensing the ground shift beneath him. More people stepped closer now. A woman whispered something to her partner. A man lowered his phone, no longer scrolling. The music felt too loud, then too quiet. The older man explained who Mara was without raising his voice. He spoke of years of service, of places no one here had ever seen. He spoke of leadership without titles, of courage without applause. Mara felt heat rise behind her eyes, but she held it back. She had learned when to stand firm. The boss tried to interrupt. He joked again. He said this was all very impressive, very noble, but this was still a company party. The older man looked at him then. There was no anger in his gaze. Only disappointment. He said, "Respect does not clock out." That line hung in the air. Heavy and undeniable. Mara felt something shift fully now. The silence had grown teeth. Phones came out. Not to film, but to check, to confirm. Names were searched. Records found. Whispers spread like a quiet wave. The boss's face drained of color. He glanced at Mara's husband, who stood taller now, confusion giving way to pride. Mara did not enjoy this moment. She never had. Power was not the goal. Truth was, she took a breath and said something she had learned long ago. Something that had carried her through nights when fear pressed close. Honor does not need permission. No one spoke for a long time. Then one by one, people straightened. A woman placed a hand over her heart. A man nodded, slow and deliberate. The older man stepped back into place, his job done. The boss cleared his throat. He apologized. Not loudly. Out. Well. But it was all he had left. Mara accepted it with a nod. Not for him, but for herself. The party did not return to normal. It became something else. Quieter. More thoughtful. Conversations changed. Laughter softened. Her husband took her hand. His grip was warm and sure. He looked at her as if seeing her fully for the first time. Later, as they walked out into the cool night, the city lights felt gentle. Mara slipped the badge into her purse where it belonged. She had not raised her voice. She had not needed to. Some battles end without noise. And sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is stand still and let the truth speak for you. If this story moved you, share where you are watching from and what silent strength means to you. Subscribe for more stories that honor the quiet heroes among us.